technology works as a catalyst.
In India, at least if we are considering, most of the schools are already having smart classroom ecosystems. Students already come with much more knowledge right now. How the school is going to adopt to every type of kid? How I can have all the 60 or 30 students in my classroom engaged in the entire session.
WhatsApp group is definitely not something which can work over there.
Even government is mandating this kind of education system as part of their curriculum itself. These AI intervention in the school can help the teachers and the school management to get them insights about each and every student so that they can also understand what to be taught to which student.
Hello everyone, welcome to Bright Talks, the very first EdTech show where we unpack the latest updates in the education and their impact on all four stakeholders: teachers, students, parents, and admins. Here today we have very special guest, a parent with over a decade of experience in the EdTech industry, working towards solving the needs in the education ecosystem. We'll be looking at what parents consider when choosing schools for their kids in today's ever-evolving landscape, and what are the key challenges that they face while admitting their kids to the schools. Now, whether you are a school principal, teacher, or just curious about the future of education, you are in for a treat. Let's get started. Hi Sandhya, how are you?
I'm good, Arun. Thank you. Thanks for having me in the show.
It's great to have you. And since we are having this first ever parent talk in our Bright Talks podcast, and it's great to have someone from the tech industry who is also a parent. So we wanted to understand technology plus education are the main theme of this podcast. And we wanted to understand from a parent's perspective, there are multiple questions, how your child is doing in the school and what technology impact has been happening. So I think we'll just shoot one by one. And I think we can have the conversation going forward from there.
Yeah, of course. It's actually a big thing, a very huge topic. And for me as well, it's very different because coming from the same edtech industry, having worked on edtech products for almost a decade, but bringing a parent perspective here is going to be quite interesting for me also. I'm really looking forward to the questions. And as a parent, it's a very different perspective that I would have when it comes to what my child needs from the education, because education is the base for what my child is going to be in the future. So as a parent, I would take much more care in what kind of education I would give for my child. And I think that's one of the basic necessity why every parent is also earning, or whatever they do is for that, right? So considering that, it's the most important topic that we are going to discuss today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to your questions.
Okay. Starting with the very first one, I would say what was that factor or the number of factors that you considered while putting your child into school, when she was putting her first step? So what were that few factors in terms of education in particular, not co-curricular, we won't go over there. But yeah, in terms of education, what was that few factors that you thought, this is what the school would have, then I would consider putting my daughter over here?
Right. See, it was a very big decision for me, definitely, because it might sound very easy, or probably I have also heard people saying okay, it's just maybe a 2.5-year-old going to a school. What's the big thing? Or why so much of decision making has to go behind it? But right now, the situation is not like that, because students are, generally kids, right now the Gen Z kids are much aware. They know most of the things even before the parent needs to teach them, because of the availability of technology. Not necessarily education technology, but in general, whatever that they have around them, be it a mobile phone, every kid knows how to use it. Nobody went and taught them how to use it. Or be it what they see in their mobile phone or watch, in their television. They have access to global knowledge. So they are not just restricted to a regional content right now. They have access to global content. They are learning more languages. So accessibility has increased for kids in today's generation. So me as a parent, what am I going to give back to them? How am I going to help them to be ready for this future where other kids around her are also going to be of same kind of strengths. They would be coming with similar kind of strengths. They would be carrying similar kind of thought process and skills and multiple other things. So how my child is going to be with them. So what I can do for her is something that I thought as a basic thing while I was looking out for options for her, definitely. And most importantly, for me, in any school, I was, beyond whatever they are teaching, I was also looking at what value system was there in the school. What kind of basic ethics, value, humanity, discipline, and other things as a value system the school is going to give to my kid. That was definitely one thing that I was looking at. Second was also like how futuristic was the school in terms of technology enablement. Because right now, education and technology has become inseparable. If we are still thinking that, okay, there is no influence of technology and the kid can be, as they learnt in the Gurukul times, that's not the reality.
I think even it has happened in this past 1 decade. I guess there has been a lot of changes.
Exactly.
Starting from like digital, moving to the digital education, adding few factors over there only like the digital TV or digital board, what we call. And post that again, like moving to AI as like recent big word over here. But yeah, what do you think like your child is grasping that technology? How it has impacted exactly? Because starting from home itself, I think YouTube is the first thing which is like very easy to get your hands on, and then the same thing being applicable, at least like some part of it which is applicable in education side as well. So how do you think that is impacting your child in particular?
Yeah, I mean, as I also mentioned, see, technology and today's life is inseparable, right? It can be in any industry. It can be in education or it can be in any industry. And similarly, technology has become invisible also, right? Because to a kid, if you see, or probably you might have seen many kids, your cousins, your nephews and others, nobody would even go to them and teach any technology right now because technology has become very intuitive. They just start using it. The same thing is happening in school also because technology is used in school in multiple formats. You were mentioning about the digital boards and other systems because right now in education ecosystem, if we are looking at, initially most of the schools had a traditional methodology of teaching wherein the teachers were primarily using whiteboards, where the teachers were using this methodology called as chalk and talk method. Primarily, they used to write and then they used to teach. The education system was much like a one-sided approach.
I think we have all come through that.
Exactly. So when we were like kid, we would have been in that kind of an ecosystem, right? But in today's scenario, wherein the kid is already exposed to multiple digital technology and their concentration or the span of concentration in any content is very, very less right now. And the concentration on the type of content, because right now the human interaction or the visual format of content or a textual format of content also, right? There is much difference in it. A few kids are more attracted to video form of content. They would be able to grasp if you're showing them a video. And whereas there are other kids who are much inclined towards books. They want to read book, textual form of content. So in how the school is going to adopt to every type of kid, that becomes a big question right now. Back then, there was no technology that was assisting to enable all of that. So that's why people call it as one size fits all approach. There used to be just one approach for all the kids. That was okay back then because technology was not available. But right now, when you have technology, there are a lot of schools who have come forward to adopt this system called as personalized learning, wherein they understand what type of education suits for the kid. And they are taking much efforts to enable that kind of education to the child.
Okay. And any kind of concerns that you have, felt like that your kid has come up with, that this particular thing or this particular subject, because of certain things, I'm not able to grasp it. Is it because of the tech or, anything in particular? In terms of tech only, let's say, let's focus over there. Like in terms of tech, if she's not able to grasp it exactly the way it is needed to, so how do you think teachers are putting efforts, or at home, if the homeworks or assessment which has been given, so how do you are putting, your help over there, which can be like sorted out?
Hmm. See, only with technology, education cannot be replaced by technology, right? So it has to go hand in hand. So for a kid, we cannot say that they will learn everything by looking at a YouTube video. It's just a supportive material for them. So the primary source is a human involvement. So that's where a teacher comes into, place basically. Sometimes I also feel that though me being a person in this industry, I have also trained, spoken to a lot of teachers, trained also them using to use technology. But when it comes to my own daughter, when I teach her few things, she might not even understand. But the same concept, when it is being taught by her teacher, she would be able to understand everything about the topic. And she will even come home and then explain the same thing to me. So sometimes it becomes like, I feel like, okay, what is that real magic that's going behind it? It's nothing, but it cannot be replaced, which is the magic of the teacher. Teacher, by the virtue of that name, teacher, right? It's as in our culture also we say it's next to the God, right? So they hold that position. So when it comes to educating a student, nobody can replace them, and they have a special place in their life throughout. Because even today, if you ask me, I would know top 5 people who hold a special place where my teachers are there. Right. So same thing for any kid for that matter. So in case of my daughter, sometimes when she comes back saying that, okay, there are certain things that she was not able to understand in the way it has been taught. Of course, yes, technology has helped me to help her, because I would be able to show her multiple ways of explaining. Probably I can give her an example of how this topic can be explained in a better way. Or I have also attempted, giving her some experiments to do. So let's say she's not able to understand, my daughter who she's in class 3, sometimes she always gets confused between multiplication and division. So giving her some simple examples of, let's say you take a pizza, and then how do you divide it into different pieces? And if you have to share it, like how would you do it? Or if you have to, give it to multiple people, then what would you do? So these kind of some realistic scenarios and real-time examples giving to the kids will help them understand the fundamentals, which they will carry it forward throughout their life. So here is where like technology comes into picture, because if one kid doesn't understand one single concept, with the help of technology, you can create multiple examples which can help them understand, and you can also create multiple engaging questions, practice questions, which you can give to the student. I mean, you can give it to the kids and then help them do it in a very creative way, which rather if you write and give it to them, they are not going to do. So these are few things me as a parent take leverage on technology.
Yeah, I think very well that you have put up 2 things to take away from there, which I found. That one is there has to be some physical, everything cannot be done on pen on paper or the technology. Everything cannot be just seen on a device or a screen and then you can just grasp everything from there. So there has to be some physical experiment that has to take place that can, give a more clear picture of that same thing. And the second thing that you have put is like, I think the same, like technology works as a catalyst. So teachers need this as a catalyst that can just amp up the efficiency or, the teaching proficiency over there. And again, on the learning, it makes the same impact. So I think that you have very well put over here. Now coming on the next, the big one that we can say, like AI, the introduction of AI. I'm not very sure, like, has your kid, started learning through AI, or have you, introduced AI to her as of now, since I think she's very young, I guess, grade 3 or 4, right? So, is it the right time to introduce, or how, if it has been done already, then how do you think it has helped her in her learning, and what all changes are needed over there? Do you think like that can make a significant impact in her education for the coming years?
Arun, this concept of AI, right, is actually a very sensitive topic when it comes to the usage of AI, not just with kids, it is same throughout any industry. Because the reason being here is that how AI is being used is also like not very clear to everyone, and how to use it, what kind of tools to be used. So there is a lot more of learning that is required for people. But coming back to our discussion about the kids, right? So today's kids, at least with my own personal experience, when they are at a very, very young age, they actually don't understand like, okay, how different is this AI technology? It is any other technology for them. Just like how they started using a YouTube application on their smartphone, today or tomorrow, they might also use any other AI chat tool, right? Probably they might be already using it also. They are getting used to it. So basically, like, as a parent, what I would teach my kid is that how to use these tools, just like how I have told her, like how to use YouTube, what kind of videos to be watched, and I have enabled certain privacy checks based on her age, and I have told her like what's good for her. In the same way, using any other tool also needs to be taught from the parent. And the second thing is also how the school needs to take a leverage on this AI infrastructure that's available to them right now. Because any technology upgradation, let's say schools started from the normal traditional methodology and then they moved to the smart classrooms. In India, at least if we are considering, most of the schools are already having smart classroom ecosystem because they have understood that currently students are much inclined towards visual mode of learning. So they can play a video, they can play some, using experiments on 3D objects or three-dimensional experiments and all of that. So they know that these are the ways how to keep the students engaged in the classroom, and that is why schools are currently investing in all of this technology. So the next step of this, I'm sure the school managements are already aware that AI is already there, and many of the schools have also started taking leverage of AI in their ecosystem because it is going to bring, or it's already bringing, much more benefits to the infrastructure. How, if you ask the question of how it is happening, as we discussed about giving personalized attention to students, which is not humanly possible right now. Like one teacher giving equal attention to all the 60 students in the classroom in the small stipulated 30 minutes of time is not humanly possible. But how it can be made possible is with the help of AI in place. So these AI intervention in the school can help the teachers and the school management to get them insights about each and every student so that they can also understand what to be taught to which student. One thing. Second, how AI is being used is to how it can help students and teachers with their everyday task. So currently with my daughter, I have already started taking the help of AI tools when I teach her. So currently when she comes back home, so when I'm doing my home tutoring segment with her, when I'm teaching her, I definitely take use of AI tools because being a working mom, it is not possible for me to spend more time in creating practice questions or getting, interesting project ideas which she will be interested to work upon. It does take more time, right? So when I have a tool which can help me to do that, so why not take a leverage? The same thing also helps the teachers as well, right? Because right now the biggest problem teachers face is how I can have all the 60 or 30 students in my classroom engaged in the entire session. What kind of activities should I share with them? Because students already come with much more knowledge right now. So they are not kind of stopping with the basic questions of what is that particular topic. They need much more beyond that. So as a teacher, taking advantage of these other technological tools which is available will help them to help their students better. So that's the kind of reality that we are seeing right now.
Yeah, I think saving time plus then you have this exposure of getting multiple things in that very short span, and then according to each and every child's needs. So that just sorts it up.
Exactly. A personalized, yes, of course. And when it comes to saving time, more than saving time is that how effective it is. Because right now, if I have to manually create some questions, it is also limited to my own knowledge. But when I have a tool which can give beyond my knowledge, so that is going to be better, right? So I can come up with different angles of questions, which is also going to help my kid think in different dimensions. Because previously how this was possible is if I have to buy like multiple books, right? So let's say like when we were students, when we were studying competitive exams, we would have different books from different authors. Why were we doing all that? We wanted to understand the different perspectives of how questions can be asked for the same topic. So right now, either you can do the same thing, but if you don't have that much of time which is present with you, or if you want to, even if you're doing it manually, your questions or your ideas is restricted to your capability. But if you want to take additional help, then of course you can take leverage of technology.
So Sandhya, not coming as a tech leader over here, but as a parent, I would want to ask you what exactly are those factors and how do you communicate? Like there might be few more, parents, like your daughters, friends, moms and dad and all. So when you communicate with them, what are those factors that, that come up when it comes to the education side for their children?
Yeah. I mean, this part is very interesting because most of the times when we go to school, we meet my daughter's friends and their parents, and not just that, we have multiple WhatsApp groups, because that becomes like in my WhatsApp, if you take, there are a lot of groups which actually belongs to my daughter. So it will be regarding her school communication with her own close set of friends, and their parents are there, and there is this class group where all the parents in the class are also part of that group. So one thing which I have seen in common is that leaving aside being a person from this industry, right now, this awareness of what is required right now in the schooling system, or how technology can be used in the schooling system, this awareness is very much there with every parent. Every parent is right now very much aware about like what are the new government policies that's being implemented and why schools needs to adopt it. These are all becoming like the basic necessities right now, and that's where parents also decide like whether they need to leave the kid in that particular school or not. And considering all of this, the general discussion, the most common topic that comes in the discussion is all about the communication channel. How well the school is connected with the parent. Because most of the times, if you see what happens, there is always like maybe a set of parents or a group of kids in a class who are much connected with the teacher. So this happens from our times, right? So there used to be this group of kids who are always the favorites of teachers. So they are aware about everything that's happening, or probably those bright students, so who are able to understand, who will write everything quickly, who have all the notes. And there is a big group of students who feel left out.
Majority is over there.
Majority is over there.
I can totally relate.
True. And on the same way, there is also this group of parents who are accessible to much more information compared to the other set of parents when it comes to the schools. And what happens is that in this case, every parent is equally interested or equally feels that they need to know everything that's happening with the kid. It's not just that only homework needs to be communicated. Me as a parent, I would want to know like how my daughter's day was, how much involved she was in the class, whether she was sad in the class or how well she was mingling with her friends. All of this actually helps me to understand my daughter much better, because right now the quality time that I spend with her is very less compared to the time that she spends in the class. So if I can get access to this information, which I feel much precious and which equally every parent is right now looking forward to, is very, very important. And on the other side also, if we see this, right now we get an opportunity to meet every teacher or talk to their academic coordinators or the teachers as principals probably once a month or once in a quarter. And after knowing that there is some issue after a month has gone, I have already wasted that time. If I had known much before, probably I would have taken some necessary steps in terms of talking to my child on those notes. And, I can do my best, my part of thing, whatever as a parent that I can do, I would have done it day one. So this communication has been a gap that's currently existing in the most of the schools, and the ecosystem has this problem. The other angle to look at it is that multiple modes of communication. That also becomes quite confusing, right? Because right now, if you don't have a single channel, then people try creating different modes. As I said, WhatsApp. I have different groups which used to share different information. So I'll give you a simple example. So there was, I think, some immediate leave announcement due to, I think, a protest or something, which was not very clear. The school has also not communicated, because these kind of information actually comes from the school. But what happened, there are a lot of speculations that was going on in the different parent WhatsApp groups. Which one should I believe? Should I call the school? Should I trust the communication messages that's going on? So these are all like simple things, probably, like if the school is establishing a single source of communication channel wherein they are keeping parents updated about everything that's happening, be it a holiday or a homework or every day-to-day basis of what the kid is going through, that's something that any parent would look for.
Yeah, and I think this WhatsApp group is definitely not something which can work over there, because there is like a lot of communication that has to be done, starting from marks to announcements to, PTMs or whatever is there which is coming up. But yeah, everything is lost over there. Plus there are like thousands of messages. Now who will scroll again and read that? So again, like put together, technology over there can play a role, like which is very, very, pointed towards it, not just it's just spread out, like focusing on multiple things, but just like some basic channel where everyone is on like same page.
That's true. Very important. And other thing also I would like to add here would be like, if there could be a way that, because right now in schools, if we are looking at most of the schools focus on subjects. They focus on inculcating the knowledge on the standard subjects that's there as part of the curriculum. But so parents end up choosing other modes of education system, probably like looking out for supplementary classes. If I want to put my kid for learning music, I'm again in need of some supplementary class for that. So what happens is that again I need to figure out a source to send them there. And school, I feel, is a most trustable place. So we had done all the groundwork in finding out a school, and then we are sending them there. So the same amount of effort actually goes in for every parent to find out all of these supplementary classes also. And most of the times, parents, because of their schedules, actually end up not choosing these kind of classes for their kids, which is sometimes I also regret, because of my own schedule, I'm not in a position to help my kid to learn new skills, because I'm not having that time to send her to those additional classes. If the school had a capability to bring in all of these in a single ecosystem, that would have been the best thing. Many of the schools today are actually bringing it. They do have a holistic learning, which is also being promoted by the government as well. So they try to bring holistic learning. They are trying to bring multiple other parameters, let's say a theater, let's say music, let's say yoga, and many other forms also. But this is something which, if in case like many of the schools are able to adopt, that would be a biggest blessing for every parent.
Right, right. I think holistic learning is something that you have put up, and that is something which is raising a concern right now, because there is like school, then there is like multiple few other schools. So you have like 5 other schools and 5 different types of data to manage. As a parent, you are like, again, that you have talked about, like there is one WhatsApp group of yoga, then there is like schooling, and then music or what others, and having like separate platforms for that. It's a task. It's definitely a task. So if that single school where you are putting your child, if they can only bring everything together, I think that works best over here.
Definitely. Not just in terms of bringing everything under one place, but also in terms of trust factor. Because in the school, we have the ultimate trust in the management because it's properly organized. How well the supplementary classes are organized, it's a big question mark, wherein we need to definitely, yes, as a parent, I would be putting more efforts in understanding about that. But I would be much more happier if it is coming under the same umbrella of a school where the ecosystem is set. We know the people who are there, who are running, the teachers, and the kid is also much used to the teachers and ecosystem. So it becomes a very good thing for them also.
Okay, so Cynthia, in particular, coming back to the education side again, like what do you think now? How well the teaching parameters, teaching methodologies that have improved and that has changed coming to the past decade, let's say?
It's very, very different right now, Arun. So that part, I would say, like has tremendously improved because right now I feel very difficult to teach my own daughter who's just in 3rd grade and to answer her questions, because when we used to be kids, most of our teaching methodology was probably just limited to knowing what is that particular concept and remembering the concept. Our exams just stopped with remembering what is the concept, and we just used to write about it. Most of the things was memorizing. But right now, I can see there is much change in the entire way how the learning has been delivered to students, irrespective of whatever type of school the kid is going. Because right now, I can also see that even government is mandating this kind of education system as part of their curriculum itself. Because CBSE board, which is one of the most popular board in India, and which is being used in most of the schools, which follows NCERT type of syllabus, is also mandating these kind of protocols, wherein learning is not just stopping with the basic layer of memorizing the concept. It is going much beyond that. It is going understanding the concept in ground root level. It's going in comparing one concept with the other that they have read, and making connections with multiple concepts that they have read. Also to understand how well they can create new ideas with using this concept. This is something which I feel has been a very tremendous improvement that has happened to the current, with the help of technology, to the current education ecosystem. And it's not just for higher class kids, it's actually starting right from the fundamentals of kindergarten stage, I would say. Because most of the syllabus, when I see right now for my own daughter who's in standard 3, most of the questions are based on her critical thinking skills. So there is no right or wrong answer, which I feel it's great actually, because there is no 0 or 1 when it comes to understanding something and then interpreting it in your own way, right? So there is always a lot of things in middle. Yes, we understand that formulas and mathematics is very different, but even in those type of subjects, how you are approaching a problem can be in any way. How you want to solve a problem can be very different from how the other person wants to solve the problem. Back then, the education system was not supporting that, but right now the education system is supporting that. Teachers are encouraging, schools are encouraging kids to come up with their own answers, which is very, very, it gives me so much of happiness to look at that, because when they give the homework, It's not just limited to looking at your textbook, reading it, and then writing it. It's very different right now. They ask the kids to come up with their own assumptions of what they think about that particular concept, what they think about a character. And they also ask the kid to play the character. So if you were in that position, what you would have done, how you would have reacted. That's opening up the mind of the kids. It's absolutely amazing to look at how technology is changing, how education ecosystem is also being evolved because of this.
In any particular example that you might have with your own daughter to support this statement of critical thinking?
I can actually say two things. One which is very interesting, and the second one which is very funny also. The interesting part is that right now, when we used to be kids, probably in standard 1 and standard 2, maybe we would have just learnt about what are living things, what are non-living things. Our understanding just stops there. But right now, the questions, the type of questions that used to come for her is that there was one chair in a room, and the next day you see that there are multiple chairs. Do you think it is possible? Okay. And you are comparing it with a human. So basically, they are trying, or they are making the kid to think that, okay, reproduction is something which is possible for a living being, but not for a non-living being like a chair. Okay, and this is a question which was asked for a kid who was in standard 3. Okay, because she's been thought about living and non-living, what are the characteristics of living things, what are the characteristics of non-living things. But how to put it in a real life example or a scenario is something that's open to kids. How well they can imagine. Probably the kid might not be able to do it today, but I think as and when they are exposed to these kind of questions, which is opening their ideation, which is opening up their thought process, they will be able to do much better. So these were like few things which was like kind of very, very new even to me to look at like how today's curriculum is being framed, because that's how today's books are in most of the cases. And on the other side, it also makes kids to come out of this boundary of just memorizing topics and writing, because they come up with their own answers. So the funny part that I was saying, like there was one question which was asked about to write about what type of food is good to eat. So my daughter had answered saying that, okay, so these are the type of food which is good for health. So you need to have vegetables, you need to have all of that. But since it was her own perspective and her own answer, she had also included one more sentence saying that she is also allowed to have burger and fries maybe once or twice a week, because it's okay to have within the limit. Because see, the kid, as a kid, they were not constrained in their answers, constrained in how they need to think and how they need to attempt a question. Because that's how they have been trained today in the schools. They are open to share anything that they think, anything that they want to share it with the teacher and with their friends, and even in the exams. Because most of the schools, what I have seen is they don't have an answer, written in the classwork notebooks, which is being asked for the student to study and then, kind of just write in the exam. So that pattern, I feel it's gone. Right now, most of the schools are moving towards this thinking capability based type of learning, how they can evoke these kind of thinking capabilities with students. What type of teaching methodologies can improve that? What kind of activities can improve that? This is where the full focus of schools are there right now. Most of the schools who are shining right now, most of the schools who are actually adopting these kind of technologies are moving in this direction.
And I think only the books are not playing the role over here, right? Teachers and the technology that they have adopted to, I guess that is something which is improving this overall thinking and learning outcomes over here.
I would say that, see, right now when we are looking at book is nothing but a hard copy of your innovations that's happening in technology, right? So because of this, the ecosystem has become much more refined right now based on all of these things which is going on. So the curriculum itself is becoming more refined right now. The curriculum is resulting into utilizing the curriculum in different formats. Which book is one? What I am trying to say is that in the book, previously it was like you just by heart the book and then write it. But right now, even behind the book, if you are looking at the question and answers, the questions you would see is actually not from the content that would be put in the book. It's just that you need to read the lesson, think about it, and then answer the question. So entire curriculum has changed right now. So it's actually becoming a big headache for the parents also because it's not easy anymore for the parents to just read through the classwork notebooks or read through the book and then teach kids. Just like how the teachers are spending more time, it also includes that much of parental involvement also. If not, if there is if the effort proportion, if we have to make the effort which is made by the teacher on this kid, equal efforts needs to be made by the parent also on the kid, so that the kid is having a sustainable growth, right? So that's equally important right now.
There's, I guess I'm expecting like there's after every answer there's a why kind of question which comes up from your kid, like why this happens and why that and why.
I think every kid right now, it's not just I have seen like I interact with a lot of my daughter's friends. Every kid is right now just energetic. They are so happy. I mean, kids are always happy and energetic, yes, but the way they approach things are very, very different right now. It's not the way that sometimes when I was a kid, like what I was doing, what type of things I was playing, or what was my hobby and what's my daughter's hobby right now, and what are the things that she likes to do, what are the things that she likes to play, how is she approaching the life, it's very different. It's because like there is a huge gap, there is a generation gap also in between. In that generation gap, lot of things has influenced this kind of growth. It has not happened in just a day. So this evolution, like multiple parameters are contributing this evolution. Out of that, this technological involvement is playing a bigger role there.
I envy the kids so much right now.
Very true.
I think a few things we have summed up from this question in the earlier ones as well. But how as a parent, you can support the educators, the teachers, to take care of the learning needs and in terms of education in particular in school? Like how as a parent do you think there can be some support that can be handled?
This is very important actually, and to just follow up on the previous answer that I had given to the question, parent is actually playing a bigger role right now in the education ecosystem, right? So in when we are looking at the education ecosystem right now, just like how you have a teacher, a school, a student, parent is also equally involved. There are those days, like I have also heard, my mom saying that, okay, why this was not taught in the school? Has your teacher not taught this concept to you? So what happens in that narrative is that the blame goes on the other side. So right now, I feel there is a lot of things which has changed because parents are also getting much awareness about like this, and parents' involvement with the students has also improved much. Parents are much interested to have this involvement also. They want to know what's happening, and they are very, very interested to know how they can support this as well. And one interesting concept that I have seen, which is there in many schools right now, is that there is a group that is being created which is called as parent inclusion group, or in few schools like parent initiated activities. So a lot of schools actually bring in and encourage these kind of activities. They actually pull parents to be part of their ecosystem. So they invite parents quite frequently to the schools. They involve parents also, because right now parents are also skilled in certain fields. They are progressing. They are much educated. They are shy. They might be leading a big tech team, or they might be working in a creative industry. So how when these skill sets can also be brought to the kid? So right now, most of the schools have these kind of groups wherein the parents are also coming and being part of the groups probably once in a month or once in a quarter. and they try to bring in their knowledge and share it with all the kids in the school, which is very, very nice, because this initiative gives parents an opportunity to be part of the school one, and to also interact with other kids, to be part of the kids group. And also this reduces the barrier between the parent and the school also, parent and teachers, parent and the school leaders. So this becomes like one big family. So what are the people in the family trying to do? They are all trying for a single thing, which is the students' growth. So teachers, school leaders, and the parents are all aiming for the same thing, right? So it should be done together. And there should be an equal support that has to go on also. Just thinking that, okay, the school will take care of everything, I just need to find the best school and then put my child, I don't think that's going to happen right now. Because as I was also mentioning, like most of the thing actually needs parent support even when the student is at home. Even when the kid comes back home, the kid is supposed to do a project. As a parent, you need not do it for the kid, but you need to support them, to guide them how this has to be done. And you need to guide them like what is required, or a moral support that has to be given to your kid. I think in all of these lines, the parent's involvement is very, very important.
Right. So I think if you're saying like 50-50%, it's with the parents, and the 50% plays the school.
Yes, both are required right now.
Okay, perfect. And so we are coming very close to the end of this. But let's say if someone, as a school leader, some principal, professor, they are watching this podcast. So, since we have like multiple things that we want as a parent, that you want for your daughter to have it in school. So what are those 4 or 5 factors, max to max, that you think, that is actually very much necessary right now in the current education system?
It's a very good question, Arun. So let me bring a different perspective to your question, okay? So as a parent, what are the important things that I would consider while I'm sending my kid to a school or shortlisting a school for my kid, right? Because these are the ones which, probably the principals or the school management members would also want to consider, because ultimately they want to give a good infrastructure and good well-being to the kids, is what like ultimate goal of both parents and the school leaders also. Considering that, the most important parameter is going to be the infrastructure. How it can be a very basic thing also. Let's say how well lit the school, the kind of ventilation, how are the safety and hygiene protocols are being followed. In terms of classrooms, like what kind of size capacity is there for every class, how many students are there, the student teacher ratio. These are the basic things that any parent would consider while sending their kids to the school. And second thing would also be the performance of the school year on year basis. Let's say like last year, what kind of results the school has given for their 12th and 10th pass outs. This makes it very important for the parent to understand what kind of education system, what kind of results and output that the school is able to give to their students. The next also, which becomes like very important in today's situation, is that holistic learning. How the school can help the students to get holistic education in a single place. Let's say like, the school should not just restrict the kids with only subject or curriculum based learning, but apart from that, is the school well equipped to deliver courses in yoga, or let's say like, arts and craft, or theater, or let's say sports. How well these kind of holistic learning is being implemented in the school is also a very important part for the parents, that, in today's age, that they are being considered. And when you ask about like, one more in terms of the fourth important parameter is going to be the digital adoption. Right now, the technology and education infrastructure or an ecosystem is inseparable. So schools and educational institutions should be like very open enough to adopt to the latest advancements that's coming to the technology. The basic being like any parent for that matter are looking for is the school equipped with smart classroom ecosystem. a very basic thing for them to send their kids, because right now, being the new admission season, when the parents are visiting school, so I had also been in search of school for my daughter. So when I had gone to their classrooms, the first thing that I was searching or I was looking for is, do they have like basic smart classroom devices in the classroom? So is my kid going to get the benefit of learning from this multimedia based content, because that improves your learning retention and capability also. Apart from that, when it comes to this digital adoption, how well is this communication channel enabled with the school and the parent? So this also becomes very important right now. And lastly, and also the very basic parameter is going to be the proximity. Because considering a parent angle, I would also consider that I should not send my child for a long distance just for the sake of getting all of the other benefits that I told before, right? So I would really consider that the school has to be of nearest proximity, because I don't want to stress my kid also sending them long in this traffic. So these would be the basic things as a parent that I would consider.
Yeah, I think very well summed up that you have mentioned like the 5 factors that are actually as a parent you are considering, and technology being one of them again, and proximity again, like living in Bangalore, that is the foremost choice. But yeah, overall through this conversation that I have felt like there are few great things that is needed, the holistic being one part, tech being definitely one part in the current education system. If they want to, every kid wants to be on the same page, and as a parent you want your kid on to be the same page. And then the connected learning as well. I think that is something that the school doesn't stop just post the boundaries of the school. I think you are being communicated what your child is going through, and it's like everyone is on same page, is in touch in that same one single platform where everyone is connected and over there. So I think that gets us to the end of the podcast, and it was like great time having you over here. You actually answered almost everything over here. As a parent, I guess everyone around as well feels the same, and since you have like a lot of connects over there, and as a school leader, I think if someone is watching this, they'll also get an idea like how exactly the parents are thinking right now, and they can also make the certain changes which are needed in their school. So yeah, let's see.
Thanks a lot, Arun. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to be part of this podcast with you. And also, you have just mentioned that it's the first podcast. So I think I get that privilege of being part of it. So I feel personally, it was a very interesting conversation that we had today. And it was very different for me to bring perspective of a parent in this entire conversation. Though being part of this edtech industry, bringing a parent perspective was very different for me today. I feel that I have just been a representative here, voicing out what thousands and thousands of parents out there are thinking right now. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank and salute all the school leaders and teachers out there, because their contribution has been phenomenal in this ever-changing education ecosystem with the new technologies that's being coming in place, how they have adopted and evolved and made sure our kids are getting benefited out of this has been commendable. So this was a very interesting, conversation again, and I'm really looking forward to have many such conversations in future, in case if you would invite me again.
Definitely, I think in Bright Talks season 2, we'll definitely have you. It has just started, but yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.